Hello. The pen I have today is the Jinhao x750, and this particular version is called the Shimmering Sands version for reasons which probably should be obvious by looking at it. This is a very popular pen for good reason. It's a good pen, it's a very good pen actually, but it's a phenomenal pen for the price. This pen is typically available for under $3. So you cannot beat the price on this pen. It is a predominantly metal pen with the lacquerish finish and this sparkling shimmering sands effect. It is a heavy pen because it's mostly metal. It weighs 37 grams, so it's pretty heavy. It's about an average length pen if we compare it here to a Lamy Safari and a Pilot Metropolitan. You'll see it's pretty much the same length as these popular pens. It's nicely trimmed in chrome at the bottom. At the clip band around the cap band it says Jinhao x750, and it's got some squiggly artwork effect there. It's got a nice sort of swooping style clip that's actually quite functional and works quite well. The pen is a slip-off cap. It's got a nice cap liner that keeps the nib relatively moist and fresh. It posts well, posts securely, and it's decently balanced in the hand when writing posted, or you can use it unposted. It's certainly long enough to do that. The section's a little bit on the short side, but it's nice and it's functional. It's got a nice tapered shape. It's a matte finish plastic, so it's not too slippery, and it's nice. It has the chrome trim on both the top and bottom of the section, and this step down here is really nothing so to speak of at all. It's got one of my favorite nibs, particularly in the inexpensive pen variety. It's got the Jinhao No. 6 style nib. This particular one is the all silver or all chrome colored version. They make bicolored versions. They make all gold tone versions, etc. It's got some Greek style scrollwork pattern. The Jinhao Chariot logo, the words Jinhao, and it says 18K GP, which presumably stands for 18 karat gold plated, but you could take that with somewhat of a grain of salt because it is a steel nib. All in all, a very nice looking pen, and you're probably wondering how it works and how it writes, and we're going to find that out right now. Okay, what we are writing with here today is a Jinhao x750, and this has the No. 6 nib, which is the Jinhao No. 6 steel nib, and this is around a medium, maybe a medium leaning a little bit towards the fine side, but it's a nice size nib. Really nice wet writing pen, very smooth. I really like the way this nib writes quite a bit, and I've had this nib on quite a few different pens, and it doesn't really ever disappoint me. What we have here in this nib is a tiny bit of flex available, not much. You can squeeze a little bit of line variation out, but like I said, it's not a flex nib by any means, but you can squeeze a little bit out. As you can see, you definitely have some line variation, say there versus there. While we're at it, you can reverse write a bit, and it kind of goes to like an extra fine, but it does dry up and it is scratchy. You can squeeze a word or two out, and that's about it. So there's not a heck of a lot to say about this pen in terms of writing. It writes great, cannot beat the price at all. It is a standard cartridge converter filled pen, and it does include the cartridge, include the converter for that very reasonable price that you pay for this pen. Now, we have a flashy pen, and we have some flashy ink to go with it. This ink is kind of wrote the book on sparkly ink. This is J. Herbin Emerald of Chivor. So this ink has shading and sparkling in it, and you know, this is not an ink for every occasion. It's something, if you're an attorney, you probably wouldn't want to be taking notes in court with this ink. If you're a doctor, you're probably not going to be writing on patients' charts with this ink. But it is nice. It's nice for things like writing Christmas cards and things like that, because you got this very deep emerald green color, which is just great looking. And of course, you've got the sparkle effect, which the sparkle effect really comes out as it dries. So when the ink's really kind of wet and fresh, you can't really see the sparkles too much. And then as it dries, the sparkles really kind of just pop out at you. And this is just a great ink. I really like it. I really like it quite a bit. Now, it comes in a really cool bottle too. So this is part of the Herbin 1670 line, which is sort of like their sort of commemorative line of inks. It comes in this really cool looking bottle with this sort of faux wax seal effect, and it looks really nice. One thing to note though, as you can see here, the sparkle, the actual metal particles that constitute the sparkle will settle. So when you fill your pen, you must shake this bottle up very well before you fill your pen. That's super important. And on the same note, you have to shake your pen up before you write. So presumably you're storing your pen's nib up, as you should be. And then what's going to happen is all the little metal particles are going to settle on the bottom. So you need to shake your pen and shake it well before writing with this ink. Otherwise you're not going to get the effect that you desire, and you may even clog your pen. And on that note, a pen that is finicky, has questionable flow, or is even hard to clean is not a pen that you want to use this ink in. So if you have, say, a vintage piston filling pen, a vintage sac filler, any kind of, or a Vacuumatic, for example, any kind of pen that really you can't take apart and flush easily, is probably a pen you might want to avoid using this ink in. So this type of pen, which is an inexpensive pen, the nib and feed pull out, the pen can be disassembled, you can flush it through really easily, is a good kind of pen to be using this ink with. You also, another reason why this is a good pen to use this kind of ink in, it's a wet pen. To really get advantage and get the full effect, you want a nib that's a little bit on the wider side, and you want one that writes kind of wet to really get the kind of full effect of what Emerald of Chivor has to offer. So that would just be my tip. If you take that vintage Schaefer snorkel pen that you have, use a different ink on that, not this one. So I think that pretty much should cover this pen. So as always, I bid you goodbye. And if you like this video, please subscribe. And if you don't, please drop me a note and let me know why. In any case, so long.